Someone once said, good conversation is food for the soul. Great conversation is what happens when a conversation flows no matter how random topics get. We are in the business of creating great conversations. Welcome. This is A Few Minutes With. Hey everybody, we are A Few Minutes With Hey, it's our show.
we are. This is
yeah, we're here for another episode of A Few Minutes With.
Yes.
It is a Thursday once again. The lovely Susan Bruiser. Susan Chisholm is with us as well. And Susan, as we get started this evening, this is episode number 530. No, it's not. It's really not.
I was like, say what?
But it's felt like that in a good way. So
I was like, it better be in a good way. Rude.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think I have my lighting stuff figured out because I'm not green.
You're not green.
I'm not green. So, so here we are. This week's episode of A Few Minutes With is brought to you by us, and I'll say that until we have sponsors. So yeah, how's your week been?
My week's been pretty good, actually. I've had a couple of challenging days. I had a migraine on Wednesdays. It was pretty tough, but feeling good otherwise. How about you?
Doing okay. Got back to work this week after being on vacation, after getting to 97% done with this new studio business. Still working on a few things, but I think I have the lighting sequence figured out, at least for now, until, I want to keep refining it. Because it's never done. You know this.
Oh,
when
no,
it comes
100%.
to equipment stuff.
No.
It's
always evolving. Yeah, always evolving.
Yeah. In fact, you have a new microphone. So
I do. New microphone. Ta-da. Thank you. And new headphones.
Oh, yeah. I didn't know about the headphones. Okay. So, hey, speaking of headphones, these were a gift from Cullen and you. So
They are. Caps,
yeah,
pants.
They work very well.
These were a gift from Cullen as well. They are Bear Dynamic 770. Amazing, awesome headphones, and that's about all I know about it because I can read it on the side. The end.
Well, there you go. Life is good.
So,
before we get started, our main topic tonight is going to be you have 3 wishes, and we're going to talk about what those might be. I'll set that up in a bit. But I'm curious. I was thinking earlier today, for some reason, I was kind of reminiscing about my years in school. I'm 30 plus years removed from having finished high school and college, even, a little less of time, but it's been a long time. Yeah. And I was thinking about, I've often thought about, like, what are some subjects that I would want to revisit, like, let me start by asking you, did you have a favorite subject in school?
Science.
Okay. Any particular brand
all
of
the sciences? All of the sciences. Physics was probably my least favorite of all the sciences, but the rest of them were great. I'm a big fan of biology. Life sciences is a thing for me. Zoology was great. Chemistry was zoology. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I took zoology in college. Chemistry was all right. I was not great at it. But I liked it okay. Physics,
gotcha.
I was not good at it, and I did not like it, and it did not like me back. But I have a strong feeling that is because it's math science hybrid, and math and I do not mix. I am math phobic.
Yeah. Our friend Drew is not math phobic. He says that his favorite topic in school was algebra. And I'm going to talk about that here in just a second. Because again, in thinking back toward those younger days, when my knees didn't hurt quite as much, I loved history and English, literature in specific. And in fact, the only AP level classes that I ever took at all was English, and both literature and writing, and science I loved. It wasn't like a fascination for me, but I enjoyed the topic. World history and history in general was my bag. Like that's where I really like that's the one subject that I think I've carried forward into my life. Now, even today, I have a huge fascination with anything that is about history, and we'll go down the rabbit hole of pretty much any given topic, as long as I know that it's attached to some sort of historical moment or, era, then I'll go down that rabbit hole. And it can really be up any kind of history whatsoever. But all of that to say that here recently in the last few months, I have wondered if my capacity for subjects that I didn't like back then might be something to like reconnect with and explore. Drew mentions algebra. That was the specific topic that I was considering. I wonder if I could go back, and if I could, get a book, would I be able to understand it? Like, would I be able to, learn it more than I did back then? Because back then for me, math was just one of those things where it was just not a passion at all whatsoever. I barely had any interest in it because it was difficult. I had some well-intentioned but terrible teachers in terms of how they taught me math. I don't even know if I should name names, but I will. In 7th grade, my math teacher was Miss Carbach, and she was just mean. She was just downright mean and aggressive in how she taught. And if you messed up, it was like, this would have been let me see, I want to make sure I'm right. This would have been the early to mid 80s, and things were different back then. And you could shame a student if they didn't know the answer to a question, And so I always had a negative view of math because of my inability to comprehend and understand it. And so I just wonder what it would be like now in my current frame of mind and maturity level in terms of applying myself more. If I could pick up a topic, do you have any topics that you're thinking, hey, I wonder how it would be if I chose to look at it now?
Any topics that I would do that with? I mean, not really. Like I've kept. I mean, I guess the difference. Let me start over. I do have with the kids. I have experience with like the quote new math, and so that is giving that gives me kind of a refresher. But it's like I have no desire to go back and attempt to take another class.
Not even as a hobby.
No, maybe welding, but none of the core subject. Yeah, no, none of the core subject.
Subject? I guess it was a subject in school.
Of course.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
I don't know. I'm not saying I'm going to do it, but I am very curious as to whether or not I would be capable, And then, of course, Jen's a math specialist. She literally is, she creates math tests for standardized testing for states across the country. And she was, I brought this up to her and she was explaining to me that, the styles of how algebra and such topics were taught back then are quite different now, and I never thought about that. I never thought about how, math would evolve or other subjects might evolve into, different ways. Like I think of everything as sort of being, it's in stone because this is how you learn it. I think about, for instance, with English, diagramming sentences used to be one of my favorite, absolute favorite things to do, and
diagramming a sentence.
Oh yeah, absolutely. There's a whole format that you use to take a sentence and identify its specific parts in terms of, okay, what's the verb, what's the preposition, what's the noun, and I'm doing a horrible description of it, but there's literally a diagram that was utilized that enabled you to break apart a sentence into its basic parts and show what is where and why the sentence makes sense. And so I loved that stuff, and that carried into college and in my love of writing. And I wanted to be a speech writer and speech presenter. Political speeches in particular didn't quite get there, but to this day I love writing, and I love public speaking. So I thought of everything as you know, being like math is math. It's taught the way it was when I was in school, but apparently that's not the case. And so,
no. Oh God, no.
so yeah. So unless someone's going to pay me money to learn algebra, I probably will not attempt.
No. To do so. No, and okay, so in your description of diagramming sentences, I do know what you're talking about, but I've never heard it called that before.
Okay.
So, but I English was English was another one of my really one of my stronger subjects.
Mm-hmm.
And it's in no small part due to fascination with stuff like that because and I'm really terrible. Like I try not to be grammar police, but I am sometimes.
Sure.
I just can't help it. Like, but yeah, no, I agree with you. It's a fascinating kind of breakdown of things, and it also helps you kind of adjust your speaking to based on who you're speaking with.
Sure.
But no, yeah, you couldn't pay me enough money to go back and take another algebra course or like any kind of math.
Not even for fun, just to see.
That's not my idea of fun.
I mean, I'm curious. I don't know. I might look into it, but it's like anything else. I also consider, what languages should I learn kind of thing. I mean, I'm in my mid 50s, so it's like, okay, I've always said, and I said this last week, one of the philosophies I live by is don't ever stop being a learner, and yet I asked, I guess, and I think partly that's what kind of motivated my thought process over the last few days was, what am I learning? If I really am honest with myself, what am I learning now? What have I set myself to that is new or that is different? And so it was sort of that self-reflection of like, okay, well, if I live what I say, then I should be learning something, right? And so I feel like that's a gap in my life right now that I need to fill for my own edification, just to continue to be a learner. Before we go any further, I want to say hello to those who are in the chat. Thank you so much for joining us as you do week to week. I see Savage, I see Gator, I see Captain Sparkle Pants, and our friend Drew as well. Thank you all so much for continuing to meet with us here week to week on Thursday nights for a few minutes with.
We're hanging out and having a party with us.
Yeah, we can't do it without them. And so it's always great to see you guys. And yeah, it's great. It's fantastic. I thought I said hi to everybody. So,
no, Savage. You didn't say hi to Savage. Hello, Savage.
Yeah.
Oh, maybe she's talking about Captain is not saying hi.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
Captain Sparkman said hi to
about me. I thought she was talking about Sergi. So she made a post the other day, and I thought she was giving me a nickname. I was like, oh, I guess not.
Oh, I saw that.
So.
Okay, good. Okay, cool. I feel better now. I don't feel quite.
Yeah, I was gonna say. I was like, what? I thought I said her first. Drew, thank you. The new studio is coming together. My retro fridge is right there. That's my new retro fridge.
It's a big fridge with a mini fridge.
Oh yeah, exactly. Because I have a lot of root beer. But yeah, so the walls are painted. Art is hung. I'm not ready to do the reveal just yet. That's still going to be a couple weeks away because there's still detail work to be done. But I'm very excited at the progress. So yeah, the new studio is just about there. Susan, thank you for all of your help in helping to put this together. It's just a massive project that's been going on for a few weeks now, but it's been great. So all right, so let's get to tonight's topic. And as always, if you're in the chat, we invite you to join along. Our topic tonight is you've got 3 wishes.
You got 3
all right. This is a conversation that's been on our list of topics for a while now, and I think it's the perfect time to bring it out because, again, talking about sort of where we are in life and what our life scenarios look like right now, each of us individually, not just the 2 of us, but those who are with us on the chat.
Yeah,
it's there are things that we wish for. Thank you, Captain Sparkle Pants. I appreciate that. And so I thought it'd be fun to, bust out the proverbial, genie in the lamp, and say, if you had three wishes, and again, this is based on who we are today, right?
Yes.
And our life situations the way they are. What would be the three wishes that we might make, right? And one of the things in thinking about this that I wanted to kind of stress to everyone was this won't be something like, and I'll explain why. It won't be like, I wish I could end world hunger. Okay? And because for me, I want this to be personal in nature. I'm not saying that we shouldn't end world hunger. We should absolutely find a way.
Yes, absolutely should.
And yes, a wish could be spent on that, and then that would be great. But there is something to be said for being selfish, right? For allowing these wishes to be about ourselves. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, and that was I think one of the clarifying questions I asked is like, I don't know if you mean that it needs to be very general, or if you meant that it needed to be very, very personal in nature. The one I came up with a couple of each. So
yeah,
just in case.
Oh, my honorable mentions. Yeah. So
honorable mentions.
You'll see. I have three that I've picked.
17.
Yeah, I have three that I've picked that are my three wishes. And then there's going to be a couple, two that I'll share as honorable mentions.
All right. Sounds good.
They didn't quite make the top three. So what I thought we would do is we normally do situations like this. We're going to bounce back and forth. Right.
Yeah.
And at this point, Susan, I'll let you decide. Do you want to go first or will you defer? What would your preference be?
You go first.
Okay, I can do that. All right, fantastic. So my first wish, and I'm trying to see if I want to do it. I'm in a certain order. Yeah, I think I need to. All right. My first biggest wish is I wish that I could retire and do content creation full time. I believe that one of the things that keeps me from pursuing this passion I have now for podcasting, for content creation on TikTok and other mediums is I got to get to work, and I got to be there a majority of my day. Right now, anyone who's following me on TikTok, I literally do my content in the parking lot at work before I go in. I film my video for the day. If you follow, I've been doing national. What day is it? Today, by the way, Susan, is National Kite Flying Day. And I
have a kite.
So I'm limited in terms of time, right? I'm limited in terms of time. And if I had it my way and everything could be, taken care of, then my first biggest wish, well, maybe not biggest, but my first big wish would be able to retire so I could make this my job, my career. So that's where I land on that, because I think I have a lot to say. I'm a few days away, closer than ever, from releasing my next project, and I'm excited about where that's going to go. I've been meaning to put out the new show called Word Sandwich. It's supposed to have released in January, but much has been happening. But I can't see a moment where I don't want to create and I don't want to share with people, And so that's the first one I'll share. So I hope that makes sense.
Yeah, no, that makes perfect sense. Actually, and my first one is kind of similar. Getting rid of my job. I would love to be able to not have to work and do hobbies. So it's not necessarily like streaming. Streaming is fun and streaming is a hobby, but I also love to craft and I love to do and I love to make and I love to, travel. And I'd love to travel to places, but like literally earlier, just earlier today, I was thinking, I was like, man, I wish I had a few days off, like where I didn't have, a few days off from work, but I didn't have to worry about the money, but I could, fix up this area over here of the house and fit, this project area over here and make this project a thing, you know what I mean? Like make a project project.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
No,
So
that makes sense.
that I can organize it and do that stuff. And I would love to travel.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, just basically be set for life and be able to do whatever I want in terms of money.
Yeah. Well, that takes away my second wish. So I'm kidding. Yeah.
No, it doesn't.
No, and that's the thing is, I mean, wishing is great. And one of the things that I wanted to do when I was thinking, at least through my list, was if there was something that I know I could make happen, then I wasn't going to include it on my list. So, for example, I wish I could go to the 6 or 7 remaining states in the continental U.S. that I have yet to see. Right. Well,
you could do that.
I could make that happen. Right. There is a feasible way in which that could occur. Or, if I say I wish I could go to New York, well, I can make that happen. So I try to stay away from things like that. I would think them through and say, okay, is that something that's possible? Well, then I have to take the action to accomplish it. Right. Which is why my next one might seem a little weird because it kind of goes counter to what I just said. And so where it's unique is this. I wish I could travel. This is number 2. I wish I could travel overseas in Europe or Asia. But where it's different is because could I make that happen? Sure. If I set my mind to it, absolutely. But what I couldn't do very easily is what the wish is. And that is, I wish I could travel overseas in Europe or Asia for weeks at a time, like without having to come back, after 2 weeks of vacation, but just to say, for the next 6 weeks, I'm going to go and I'm going to go travel throughout, Europe. And even 6 weeks isn't long enough to, see the whole continent of, but you know what I'm saying? Like to have substantial time because I didn't have to return to a job. So it's kind of tied to the first, the first wish, right? I want the ability to travel because I know I can, but I want to do it for long stretches of time because I feel like sometimes I get to a destination and I'm boxed in by time and I have to be, selective about what I want to go explore and what I want to go see. I've long said, over the last couple of years, I've tried to work a plan where I can go to Scotland to visit my friend Smack. And, he is gracious as, the most gracious guy I know. And I know that the moment I say, hey, let's plan on this time frame, he'll say yes, but I know it's going to be a limited amount of time, right? And so I wish I could travel without the boundaries of a limited amount of time, because that's where I think true exploration for myself could really happen.
Yeah, that restriction is hard because there's so many things to want to do, and you just can't. I understand that completely.
Yeah. There's no worse day of vacation than the day traveling back.
Yep.
That's always my least favorite day of a travel vacation. Well, I guess of any vacation because I have to go to work the next day. But
but come on, let's be honest.
Yeah. That I've never shared this, but when I'm in the airport waiting to fly home, of course I'm happy that I'll be with my family and the furry kids. But there's that longing for more time. There's more I could have seen. There's more I could have done. There's more that I could have just soaked in and enjoyed. And that's always been a tough thing for me is the return trip back from a journey. And so I wish that didn't have to happen.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense to me. Like, it's really hard because I'm the kind of person, namely in travel, I'm an over planner. Like I make list after list after list after list after list. And it's all stuff that I want to do. And it's all places that I want to go or places that I want to eat or places that I want to see. And you like physically cannot do that. You're supposed like a vacation. And that's something that I was, slight tangent here, but it's like vacation or trip. There's a difference.
Oh, sure.
Because a vacation, you go and you relax and you just kind of hang out, you chill. Whereas a trip, you go and you do things and you go see things, and that's basically your time away from work is spent seeing and doing, not necessarily relaxing. So I tend to be, I want to do a trip in a vacation in a very small time frame. So that doesn't work.
Yeah, it's tough to. Before we get to your second one, Susan, I want to share some of what I'm seeing. Captain Sparkle Pan says he wishes for property. Gator says, I wish we had a large property paid off. And he also shares, I wish I could still do my job without the stress. And, knowing what he does, I wish we could wish that for him, because
I do too. I do too.
Yeah. And our friend Drew shares, backpacking through Europe, but adult style with hotels and rental cars. I'll backpack with a rental car for absolute sure.
It's not backpacking at that point.
Yes, it is.
You've transitioned.
My backpack is in the back.
You have transitioned from backpacking to road tripping.
My packing is in the back seat, so that counts.
My pack is in the back.
Yep.
Okay.
Indeed.
Okay. That's not how that works. But anyway.
We can make it happen. All right, Susan, what's your second wish?
So my second wish is it's a bit more serious, I guess. And
okay.
While it is personally relatable, it's also kind of a general wish. I wish that there was a lot less stigma around mental health and getting treatment for mental health issues.
Yep.
I wish that there was like that mental health was more accessible, and I wish that someone to say, hey, I've got a counseling appointment, I've got a therapy appointment in 30 minutes or whatever, and people go, oh my God, what, are you crazy? Like, what's going on? That's not the case at all. Sometimes when I go, I do therapy once a week. We're actually getting ready to probably transition once every 2 weeks. But you know what is really great about it is sometimes I just sit there and talk, and she listens. And sometimes I talk and she talks, and I talk and she talks. And it's not always like trying to pick apart some kind of problem or deep rooted trauma, whatever. Sometimes it's just like, I've got so much to say and I want to get it off my chest. And there's not always someone appropriate. Like, I can't vent to somebody about them. You know what I mean? I can't bitch about you to your face.
I mean, you do, but
say what?
I said, I mean, you do, but that's because, we get along well. So
we get along well. But yeah, I mean, and it's just, I wish, those people that could use it the most would feel comfortable.
Sure.
And be able to fiscally and time-wise afford to be able to go to treatment.
Yeah.
And get whatever help that they need. That's something that I really wish for.
Susan, may I piggyback onto that?
Yes.
So I'm really glad you brought that up, because as you know, and as folks who've watched the show know, it wasn't until just a few weeks ago, actually a few months now, I finally crossed that threshold and decided to, go into therapy. And it has been, I hate to sound overly profound, but it is truly a life-changing experience. Because of what you said, it's that ability to sometimes just talk out, whether it's the angst or the thought process of a particular thing, or whatever. The ability to talk through whatever it is. On one end of the spectrum, it's a trauma that needs to be shared and discussed and helped with. And on the other end of the spectrum is just like you said, sometimes you just want to have someone you can vent to and share. And when I say vent, I don't necessarily mean just negative. Venting is get it out, and here's my last session was last week, and I spoke of nothing but those of you who are closest to me in my life. I spoke about Jen, I spoke about you, I spoke about Nick, I spoke about Rika, who, by the way, Rika, thank you for being on the show last week. And that's all the session was about. Right. And I've been fortunate that my therapist has agreed that, once a month for a tune-up is now going to be our regular rotation, but I won't stop doing it because of the immense amount of help it was. And so I'm really thankful that you brought that up, because I think both you and I can use this as a platform to encourage people to see, as you said, that there should be no stigma to it. It is something that is so beneficial. And at least for myself personally, has been immensely helpful in getting me back on track and moving forward again.
Yeah. I mean, and to be fair, so I have been diagnosed with, ADD, ADHD, whatever you want to call it, same difference. And myself, the way that my thought processes, what anyway, the way that my thought works,
The
my
way your
brain
brain
hole
works.
works, the way my brain hole works is, um, have you ever seen, those diagrams where it's like it asks a question and it's a yes or a no and it splits off
Mhm.
and so imagine one of those for every single sentence that I say. It's insane. It's the same thing for when I try to do things, which is also part of the reason my first wish exists is I want to be able to have time to do things because I can't. It takes so long to finish one thing because I get started on it and then I move on to something else in the middle of it because I thought about it.
Yeah.
So therapy, my counselor, my therapist has helped me to um, streamline some of the thought processes, and it's so I have a fail safe, I guess. So I call that hummingbirding because hummingbirds flit to and
Mhm.
fro on flowers and then just going and going and going. So when I
Yeah.
start a project, I have now I have a base, like home base.
Yeah.
So my project today is, just as an example, my project today is I'm going to sort out all of my fabric, fold it and get it put away. But
Mm.
halfway through that, I think of, I need to go put the laundry in. And when I'm there, I see that the laundry needs to be folded. I set a 15-minute timer. And in 15 minutes, no matter where I am in that project, I drop it and go back to my home base and finish work or like work on it more.
Right.
And then, in 15-minute cycles. Some people need it as quickly as 5 minutes. And that was all my therapist's idea. Like, I wouldn't have thought to do that. I mean,
Yeah.
not that I would have, actually been able to. She holds me accountable too. So it's like when I set a timer for 15 minutes, I'm like, Michelle's going to be proud of me. You know what I mean? So anyway,
Yeah.
Therapy is great. Go
Yeah.
do it. Don't feel bad.
Yeah, I can't encourage people enough to consider that as an activity in life. I mean, it really does. And I was one of those people who, and I'm sorry to have taken your wish hostage, but
You're
I
good.
was one of those people who I really thought that's not for me until I did it. And then I was like, oh shit. And so, it's been nothing but helpful. And so it took a while to get past that sort of, what I realize now was my brain telling me a falsehood, and so
Yeah.
it's made a huge difference. So
Yeah. It's definitely life changing. All
yeah,
right. What you
absolutely.
have a third
All
wish
right, my
coming up.
final major wish. I hope I can get through this one without getting choked up, because this
Oh,
is, that's already
well,
started. Um,
I believe in you.
so I wish I had the ability to see my parents one more time. Lost my mom in 2009, lost my dad in 2017. And so much has happened since then. And I'm a big believer in the afterlife. And I do believe, like, when people say, well, they're looking down upon you and they see what you do. I believe that. But I wish I could have one more visit with my parents so that I can show them the things that I've accomplished since losing them. Because I think whenever I do accomplish something, the the thing that keeps me from feeling 100% about any sort of accomplishment or project or thing is, I just wish they could experience it, the way
Yeah.
that everyone who joins us week to week is living it in real time, right? Um, because I would tell my mom all about roller derby announcing and the places it took me all over the world, and I would tell my dad about how podcasting became the new thing for me, and how that really took off and it became a big passion. And gosh, I would love to have the challenge of explaining to my parents game streaming and why people will watch someone play a game, or tell a story, or whatever the case might be, right?
Yeah.
That's a big one for me, is I wish I had the ability to meet face to face with them one more time, to let them know that their boy's okay, you know And so that's my, I had to mention that one out of, love and respect for my parents. So, yeah.
That's a really great wish. I can't say, because I am fortunate enough to still have my parents. I can't say that I fully understand, but I understand.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry. Yeah. I guess my third big wish is something else that's a little bit, and I'm not sure that it's one of those things where it's like attainable necessarily, but I wish that I could go back in time and teach old me that it's okay to be myself, that it's okay to like experience life to the fullest and be open and honest with what, who I am as a person. And all the things about my life that could have been different, that, being timid or shy or embarrassed of who I am has held me back a lot. Or being afraid of failing because of myself.
Yeah.
It is huge. Like I am 39. I turned 39 this year, just in January. I became a nurse. I became an RN at 37. And you can ask Cap Sparkle Pants how many years I toyed with that idea of going to nursing school before I started in 2019. At 34. If I hadn't been embarrassed to be myself, I was a huge nerd. I am a huge nerd. I'll just admit it now. I'm a huge nerd. Medical stuff fascinates the shit out of me.
Yeah.
Like I will spend hours on those videos. And yes, I'm also talking about the, Dr. Pimple Popper things. That's a different story for a different time. Like medical procedure stuff fascinates me. And I always used to be embarrassed because someone at one point probably told me, "Ew, that's gross. Why would you be interested in that?" And so I became embarrassed. And so I not only, and of course other parts of my life where I've just been very, very like embarrassed or not embarrassed, but like shy or timid about it, sharing about myself. It's like, I wish that I could go back and unlock that door and leave it open for me for now, because I think I would have, there are so many other things I could have achieved by now.
Got it.
But yeah, that's a tough one.
Yeah.
That's a sad one. That's my sad one.
Well, so my question to you, if I may, is because one of the things as we're talking, I'm listening and I'm thinking to myself, these wishes that we've chosen to share today, and that others have shared as well in the chat, they're not necessarily unattainable. In most cases. In other words, if I could find a way to, create content at a pace that maybe isn't what I wish for, but at least maybe double my efforts, as long as it remains fun, right? There's ways to get pieces of our wishes, I guess, is what I'm saying. And
there's definitely ways to get pieces.
Or if in the case of your last one, there's ways for you to recapture some of that by just reminding yourself of what you've accomplished, right? At least that would be my thing, is if I were in that boat, it would be like, okay, yeah, I can't go back and change that, but I can maybe do that. You talked last week about how you help a particular colleague of yours by helping them to reframe their thinking, right? And I'm not going to take your idea hostage here, but I think sometimes there's a piece of ourselves that allows us to revisit that past through someone else, and I applaud you for doing that, because it's something that maybe you didn't get along the way, but now you're doing it for someone else. So
yeah, that's kind of how I'm doing it. And I stopped. Thank you, therapy. I stopped being ashamed of who I am and what I am interested in, what I love, I share it openly. And so that's great. But yeah, you do, I do share it with as many people as I can. And I do try to help others learn the lessons that it took me way too long to learn.
Yeah.
And try to help them reframe their thinking now, because it's really hard to break a habit when you're, 20 years down the line.
That far in. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I have. There was some, I can't remember the exact saying, but there was a saying somewhere that I heard that, you should strive to be the adult that child you would have felt safe with, or would have felt comfortable with, or would have felt happy around. You know what I mean? And that's what I do at work. I'm kind of the work mom for all the younger nurses. I have a snack cabinet. We have 2-part lockers. Like, we have like our normal, like, regular locker where you hang your jacket and your purse and stuff like that. And we have like a foot locker that's meant for your shoes and stuff. It's above. Nothing in there but snacks.
Right.
My shoes sit in a basket on top of the lockers because I needed to make room for snacks. So, anytime I'm there, I leave the locker, the top part of my locker is open. So whoever needs a snack, I've got protein bars, I've got applesauce, I've got little bags of almonds, I've got
stolen graham crackers.
Stolen graham crackers. Those are in the break room. But yeah, no, that's.
I have to advocate for your patients who aren't getting their graham crackers.
You're hilarious.
By the way, for those who don't know, Susan steals graham crackers from her hospital. So she doesn't.
Don't. Those little tiny packages of the 2 little graham cracker squares that you get at the hospital, they stock them in our staff lounge. And so I get some on my drive home.
Yeah.
So that I can enjoy and stay awake.
You know what I recently revisited that I'm like obsessed with right now?
What's that?
Animal crackers. Holy cow. It has been so long since I had animal crackers. And Jen brought some home. And I ate a bunch of the first box she brought. And then a couple of weeks ago, we unloaded the groceries and there was a new box. And I was like, oh, look, more for me. And so I was the first person to enter that box. They're still amazing. They're still amazing.
They are. I don't like frosted animal crackers. I think that's too sweet, but like, yeah. Animal crackers.
Wait. Which ones are too sweet?
Frosted animal crackers. The ones that are like
got it.
Animal crackers that have icing on them.
with the little
dots.
Yeah, no. I used to love those too much.
Non-pareil.
Now I had one of those recently and it was like, ooh, no, my palate will not allow me. So So yeah.
No.
All right. Well, I do have a couple of honorable mentions. I don't know if you do. And the honorable mentions for me at least are kind of silly. But I do wish them. The first one is I wish I could speak weight off of me. If by speaking I could lose weight, I would be thin tomorrow because I love talking. So that's one of my silly wishes is I wish I could speak weight off instead of having to work out. So wouldn't it be great?
That would be that. Yeah,
I'd be by the end of this hour, I'd be 2 pounds lighter. So
I mean, it depends on the rate at which you're losing weight. So let's just calm it down there, okay? I guess my honorable mention is I wish I was actually good at crafting.
You are. What are you
the first time
about?
I do it. How about that? The first time I do it.
Yeah. Hey, listen.
I wish I could finish a project. How about that? I wish I could finish my project.
Funny.
I finish it. I start it, finish it. The end.
Yeah. I wish I was smarter about stuff. That's not one of them, my two. But you reminded me of something that occurred. I don't think I even shared this with you. I installed a new cabinet in my bathroom, and it has drawers and shelves and stuff. And when I put that, I'm very bad at putting stuff together. And over the course of the last few days, I've done everything from install a dryer to, build this shelving unit and so many other things that I normally would have thought I can't do. Turns out I can. But I have to interject each experience with some, Sergio-ness, because I put the whole thing together, and these big banana hands to, screwing small bolts into spaces is just, it's a whole thing.
Yeah.
But I'm so relieved that I've built this thing. The shelving unit is about as tall as me. And I go to put the 2 drawers in, and they're not sliding in. They're not going into the shelving portion where they belong because they're being blocked. Because in my zeal to finish the build, I put that shelf in backwards. So that's where I say I can't ever do projects 100% without making some form of Sergio mistake by not paying attention close enough. And so I had to undo, turn it around, so I wish I paid a little more attention to what I was doing. So
sorry about that.
But yeah.
My I guess, yeah. Being good at crafting is a skill, and that's something that is attainable, but starting a project and then look, something else that's shiny and that project sits there, and then the other shiny thing goes, another project, and then I go over here. My house is littered with half finished projects, and there needs to be like Crafters Anonymous, ADHD Crafters Anonymous, and I would be there. I'd be
there
like club president, yo.
I get it. Well, my last one, my final honorable mention, my last wish, is, and I mean this, I wish I could wake up without joint pain from sleeping. All I got to do is sleep on my arm a certain way, and I'm like, yeah, that's going to hurt the rest of the day. And so I miss the days of no joint pain, just from from how I sleep. So I wake up every morning and I'm like, yeah, I need to take a moment before I get going. So, but that's okay. I'm 54 years yet. Am I 54 yet? I'm going to be 54. Yes, I'm going to be 54. So, yeah, April will be 54. I'm already feeling 55. So, but yeah, Gator wishes he was able to grow an inch or two. So, 5'11" is just an awkward height. Gator, yeah, as far as I'm concerned, you're 6'1". All right, in my book, you're 6'1", so you're only 3 inches shorter than me. So, you're 4'2".
I'm 4'2". Not 4'2". I'm 5'2". Thank you.
Any other wishes, Susan?
Wishes, except for, I wish everybody who's here and enjoying our company is having the best night because they're here with
us. Yeah. I wish they keep coming back. So
yes, I wish you would keep.
Yeah, absolutely. So there you go. We had 3 wishes and we shared them all. And that's the thing, guys, is, you can, and it's totally okay to have wishes. And I know when I write things down, I find myself more likely to find ways to pursue them. I always wanted to have a studio that was my ultimate dream, and took a while, but a few years down the road, and here we are. I feel like I'm accomplishing that. And sometimes it's just having the what's the word I'm looking for? Not the drive, but the confidence. It's like you said earlier, sometimes we limit ourselves by how we think about something, or how we, what we say to ourselves that we can't do, and I don't say this to brag, but I mentioned, part of the process of this was, on the day I started to want to put the space together, my dryer died, and it became a 2-day adventure, but that was priority. That took priority over my own selfish want to create this studio. And so Jen and I drove around to so many different places, finally found the part that we needed. And I got to get in there, and my dad would have been really proud that I was able to install the new connection. And make the dryer do what it's supposed to without killing everybody with gas leaks. And then like building the shelving unit and everything that's gone into creating the space. There were things that I told myself, man, I wish I could be better at that, or I wish I could. And I was like, just do it. And what's the worst that'll happen? Look it up, do the research. I followed Captain Sparklepants' lead, and I Googled a bunch of stuff, and I learned. And that's the cool part, is that I learned there's value to what he does, because how else do we know unless we look it up? That's why for me and Jen, when the question comes up, it's like, I wonder how to do that. I see her reach for her phone. I'm like, what am I doing? I could look it up myself, right? And so, anyway, I'm on a rabbit trail, but yeah.
Well, and to add another little branch on your rabbit trail, we're going to be making your shadow box this weekend.
I don't know what "we" means, because I told you I wanted you to make it, Miss Craft Queen. So, but
I got it. Actually, I have all the pieces and everything. I just need to put it together. Hence, I wish I could finish a project. I wish I could start a project and finish it.
Yeah.
So you might get it next year.
Hey, I have the space where it's going to hang, so I'll be perfectly happy with that. All right. Well, this has been fun, Susan, as always. Thank you so much for sharing your thoughts. And thank you to all of you who are in the chat sharing your wishes and your thoughts and conversation with us, and your heights also. If you haven't yet clicked the subscribe button on the channel, first of all, why haven't you? Second of all, click it now. Just click it now. Click subscribe on YouTube. Click that notification bell so you know when episodes land. And don't forget to give this episode a like. It really helps us to keep motivated, stay motivated, keep going, moving forward.
Yes.
And we thank you.
Cool content. You guys talk about stuff and all that fun things.
Indeed. And we appreciate all of the support as we move this project forward. So not sure what we're going to talk about next week, Susan, but it's going to be something. I
have ideas. They may not be good ideas, but they are ideas.
Okay, I want you to retract that and say it again. You have ideas. And
I do. I have ideas. But no, trust me when I say they might not be.
We're going to rewind again, and you're going to start again. What were you saying about next week?
There are ideas.
Awesome. Fantastic. I look forward to knowing what those ideas are. So, because they're going to be great.
They're going to be something.
There's going to be a show. Why don't we put it
There's going to be a show. We will be here. I am physically present.
That's right. So we look forward to seeing you a week from tonight, 9 p.m. Central on Thursday next week, as we get together once again with you for a few minutes with. Gosh, with that, I think we should finish like we always do, and that is going to be with our TikTok of the week. This is, I should remember the name of the. I'll know the creator by the time we're done. Let's watch this week's TikTok of the week.
My mouse lives in New York, and when he wants to go get
there's no sound.
He goes into
or is there sound?
Monk's Cafe. His
okay, I'm not hearing
the sound. Is just a really big salad, and then he likes to head to his apartment. It's pretty small, so he has to keep it really fully stocked with cereal and food, but he'd rather go to his upstate New York home. It's a little more of a getaway, has a really nice view. But one of his favorite things to do is go into his craft garage. He really likes Binford tools, so he has a full garage full. And really the best part is his beach house, where he can kick back, relax, order DoorDash, just right on the water, perfect view. And if you're wondering where he got his money from, he just is a really basic farmer, and he just likes to drive his truck, and I think he struck oil or something. So that's his life.
All right. That is this week's TikTok of the week. And the creator, if I remember, I'm going to look it up because that's what I should have done before we got started. The creator is Bridget McCartney Minis. And Kat puts it perfectly. She has too much time. So yeah, amazing creator. And the scale with which that work is done, Susan, just fascinates me.
I know when I get into a project and I'm working on something and I get hyper focused on it, I can do it for hours and hours and hours. but I'm also not going like this.
Yeah. Yeah, I do not. Like, where was I? I forget where I traveled to, but I saw an exhibit of someone who was creating sculptures on pencil lead points, like the points of a pencil. And they were doing like cathedrals, and I'll have to look that up. It's an amazing thing. But like you, I mean, I can barely see my screen, so I can't imagine doing all that small work. So, but definitely art and definitely fascinating. So, all right. So with that, we're going to go ahead and land the plane on this episode. Once again, to all of you, thank you so much for being with us. We appreciate you. Susan, as always, thank you for always making it a fun conversation here week to week.
It is my pleasure. And thank you for also making it a great conversation.
You're welcome. All right. With that, we'll leave you, but we won't leave you without saying from both of us, you're awesome. You're amazing. And the world's a better place because you are in it. Chase your wishes and dreams. Be awesome. Be amazing. And we will see you next week on another episode of A Few Minutes With. Good night, everybody.
Good night.